Chimp Crazy is a documentary that came out on Max this year, and I was all over it immediately because, like every millennial, I was obligated to watch Oprah after school every day. As a result, I was privy to the story of Charla Nash. Charla survived a brutal chimp attack by a chimpanzee that she had known for most of his life. It was the chimp of a friend. Her story gained worldwide recognition when she was interviewed on Oprah, and it actually led to a change in legislation. Travis was a chimp who this couple who owned him treated like a human, treated like their own child. So the day this attack happened, it was extremely shocking. Obviously, he ripped off her hands, her nose, her eyelids, and her lips. Thank God she survived, but of course it was extremely horrific. So Charlotte's story was definitely my first exposure to the reality of keeping wild animals as pets. Back in that day, we didn't have the internet like it is. So seeing it on Oprah was like honestly really shocking. I hadn't thought about Charla for a really long time until Jordan Peele's movie Nope, which features a chimpanzee who's on a TV show and then suddenly snaps, attacking members of the cast. That storyline plays into the overarching storyline of Nope about taming wild animals and themes like that. It's a reminder that while chimps are fascinating and intelligent, they are not humans. And it's messed up to treat them as such. Like, that's not fair to them. And it's dangerous to you as a person. So Chimp Crazy is a deep dive into the people who do own chimps as pets or use them for entertainment, etc. Incidentally, there's a lot of crossover between people who claim to love chimps and want to treat them as humans and stuff, and horrific conditions for those same chimps. Now, you may have clocked that this kind of sounds like Tiger King if you watched that documentary. If you don't know the story, what rock have you been living under? Well, the similarities don't end there because the guy who created and made Tiger King actually made this documentary series as well. So at this point in time, this documentary maker, Eric Goode, is very well known in this animal world as kind of an enemy, which is unfortunate because obviously anybody in their right mind would realize that he's doing a lot of good work to expose horrific conditions for animals. But to people who want to keep these animals for themselves, they're not going to let somebody like Eric Goode into their home or their facility. So he hired a pseudo director, Dwayne Cunningham, who was able to gain access into some of these people's lives without that risk. Dwayne is a professional clown, which is awesome. And he's also a comedian and actor, so he's kind of been on the scene and knows the right people, so he had that trust there with these people. So the prevailing story, the protagonist, I guess, of this documentary is actually one of the chimps named Tonka. King Alan Cumming is actually featured a lot in this documentary because he starred in the movie Buddy with Tonka back in the day, and they developed a super strong bond at the time. When he found out that Tonka was living in not the greatest conditions, he stopped at nothing to make sure that Tonka would live in a place where he deserved. So at the beginning of the documentary series, Tonka is actually at the home of Connie Casey, resident enemy of animals. Connie Casey is an infamous breeder of apes, many of whom have gone on to work in the entertainment industry, which I don't even like saying because it's like they can't work because they can't like consent to that. But I digress. She and her ex-husband established the Missouri Primate Foundation, which is just, you know, a misnomer and the name of the facility where she kept chimps on her property. Connie and her ex-husband would rent out these chimps for things like Hallmark cards, for movies, for parties, just the like exploiting them, you know, all that good stuff. I would say the human focal point of this documentary is definitely Tanya Haddox. She actually inspired me to wear this wig today, and if it looks crazy, don't blame me. Okay, it's election day. Give me a break. I don't know the results yet. Tanya is just obsessed with chimps, and she actually moved to Connie Casey's facility so that she could be with them all day. She even went so far as to say that she loves them more than her own children, which her son shows up later in the documentary and is like, yeah, I know she said that, and I think it's messed up, but like, I understand what she was saying. And I was like, that's just too far. Like, that's not something that you say. So Travis, the chimp who attacked Charla Nash, actually came from Connie Casey's breeding facility, which is in Missouri, by the way. Following the attack of Charla Nash, there was legislation introduced, like I mentioned, into Congress that prohibits the sale or keeping of pets of primates and apes and things. New York State adopted this, but it's not federal at this point. However, PETA was able to gun for Connie Casey's property because she had suboptimal living conditions for these chimps, and they were able to get footage of this. Tanya was supposed to update the facilities to house these chimps. However, since that was never completed on her part, they were thankfully taken away to a facility called the Center for Great Apes, which is in Wauchula, Florida. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Every chimp except Tonka. So what happened to Tonka, you may ask? Well, according to Tanya and Connie, he died of heart failure. Of course, nobody believed that. Long story short, it was discovered that Tonka was in Tanya's home, in this tiny ass little structure with, you know, prison bars. Thankfully, Tonka was rescued and he was sent to also a sanctuary in Florida. This one saved the chimps in Fort Pierce, Florida. The end of this documentary definitely made me cry because seeing Tonka just running free in the open air, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. I mean, you can just see it's natural for them, obviously. I've been seeing a lot of reels lately for some reason of exotic cats that people keep, and it's just like, that is not a domesticated animal. That is a wild animal. And you want it for what reason? Like, to show it off? Like, people are making money off of having accounts of their wild animals that they keep as pets. It's just, honestly, it makes me sick. I know PETA isn't perfect. Like, we've all heard things about them, but I really appreciate the work that they did regarding not only the people in this documentary, but also in Tiger King. So Pamela Rosaire Zapp was also heavily featured in this documentary. She has been a part of a circus act that's runs in her family for her whole life and has passed that on to future generations. Unfortunately, that circus act includes exploitation of animals. So she had this chimpanzee named Chance. Chance is actually the chimp that was in The Wolf of Wall Street. Chance and the other exotic animals they have, like I said, were just so exploited, and unfortunately Chance passed away prematurely, and you just can't trust these people because when Tonka was taken away, Tanya was adamant that he was extremely healthy, that he was going into heart failure, that he could drop dead any second. Of course, when he went to the sanctuary, none of those problems were real. Another kind of common thread with people who do keep chimps as pets is they humanize them. Pamela, for example, with Chance was like, oh, he's spoiled. He doesn't want to be in the wild. Like, he loves watching TV. He likes to be a star. He likes to, you know, and Tanya would say the same of Tonka, that he's spoiled because he has an iPad and because he gets Happy Meals. I'm sorry, you think that a chimpanzee wants a McDonald's Happy Meal more than, I don't know, being free? Absolutely disgusting, horrible behavior. Thank God Tonka was rescued. I feel so sad about Chance's story and the others who are still in captivity. It's just really sick because it's clear that these people, specifically women, I will say, they treat these animals as like helpless little babies, and it's like they want something they can control more than a human that relies on them and depends on them, and they choose to believe that that animal will not attack them. Similar to Charla Nash's friend who owned Travis, who attacked her, she went on to seek out another chimp to have as a pet. After that horrific thing happened, she still went back to that. So I think it's like a sickness, and I think that it is obviously not okay. So I'm gonna stop myself there. Let me know your thoughts. Did you see the documentary? Even though Tanya's like extremely evil, she's kind of iconic in her own way. But I think that she's also a horrible person. I think that they are not mutually exclusive, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please hit the subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.
You know, everybody always thought Tonka was my favorite chimp, but he really wasn't. I didn't really have a favorite first and foremost because I loved the girls because they were just young. They were just 10 years old, 9 and 10 when I went there. So you could still interact with them. They lived in Connie's house. So I loved them girls, and they were Tonka's kids. So they were amazing kids. Chloe was my favorite. And then I loved Connor. I started really getting to know Connor, and I felt horrible for Connor because Connor was misunderstood because he always appeared aggressive when people would come because he would throw bedding and he would just play so hard and so bad people would be afraid of him, but it was because he was demasculated by Mike Casey. You know, they worked him way too late in life because they wanted that bread and butter, and the fact of it is he got demasculated, so he was gay. He would never breed. He didn't even get excited over females. He loved guys. So the fact of it is I felt sorry for him because to me he was just misunderstood. So they just found each other, and Tonka loved me as much as I loved Tonka. It was meant to be. It was just natural. It's like your love for God. And I'll do anything to protect that primate. Anything.